Hi, it's Dwyer, gamblersadvisory.com, a free site, bettingangle.us, a free site. It is December 17th, 2024. During the week, this is fight week, big fight week. Heavyweight championship, Usyk versus Fury. During the week, we're going to come across articles that might shed light on how this fight's going to go. I believe there's a gem right now up on boxingscene.com. But first, remember, the opinion you should follow should be your own. Just consider this video to be a second opinion from a complete stranger online. Now, there's a great article up on Boxing Scene. It's an interview of Tony Bellew. Now, Bellew fought Usyk, and he was KO'd by Usyk in Usyk's last fight at cruiserweight. Now, according to Bellew, he believes that Tyson Fury in the first fight was shocked, absolutely shocked, that Usyk was on his front foot, that Usyk was actually there to fight, that Usyk was actually trying to stop him. Now, Bellew says that when he fought Usyk, he decided to box Usyk because he understood that if he tried to front foot Usyk, if he tried to hunt Usyk down, he'd never find him. He'd never hit him. Understand, that's the challenge that opponents of Usyk's face. It might not be apparent to fans, but Usyk is hard to find in the ring. Plus, he's a southpaw, so the angles are a little bit different. Now, I do believe, as I've said in earlier videos, that Tyson Fury is going to go for the stoppage here. He said he's going to go for the stoppage. According to reports, he's very heavy for this fight. I saw an interview of Sugar Hill, his trainer, and Sugar Hill was basically saying, look, the one difference that the guy has to do is to just not get caught. In other words, they plan on action. There's no strategy from the Fury corner to be on his back foot, right? I believe Fury is going to try to throw his weight around. I believe Fury is going to try to clinch Usyk. I believe Fury is going to try to get inside, use a lot of elbows, look a bit like Roberto Duran. Isn't that what he did against Steve Cunningham? And I believe he can pull it off for two main reasons. Right, I'm going to disagree with Tony Bellew, who's been in the ring with Usyk. Right, the two reasons I'm going to disagree with Bellew is, number one, the Derek Chisora fight. Folks, Chisora comes out, he has Usyk up against the ropes. Right, now the key here is Chisora's foot speed. He's aggressive. There's no hesitancy. Chisora is willing to come inside even if it means being at risk of getting hit with a straight left. Right, so hyper-aggressive Derek Chisora was able to pin Usyk up on the ropes. The second reason is the training camp rumor of Martin Bakole earlier in their careers cuffing around Usyk. Google it. During a training camp. Right? Bakole, who's a big guy, claims he was dominating Usyk. Right? Now, let me just say, Bakole behind the scenes is friends with Tyson Fury. I believe that's a key relationship. I believe Bakole's purported success against Usyk is vital because, understand, Bakole is high volume when he wants to be, and he's that rarity in boxing. He's a long-range hooker. In other words, he's throwing hooks at Usyk. Now, people are afraid to throw hooks at Usyk. I keep telling people Anthony Joshua has an excellent left hook. He didn't throw it against Usyk. I believe hookers are afraid to get countered. The idea is that Usyk can throw a beautiful straight left. Usyk's jumping around, so it throws off timing. A hooker's afraid that as they throw a wide angle punch, Usyk's going to come down Main Street and counter and hurt them. Right? Well, what Fury has to do is he has to come in, he has to throw hooks because he's in against a mobile opponent, and he should want the widest punch radius possible. So he's going to have to study Martin Bakole. He's going to have to also make sure he has his chin tucked at all times. Right? He has to have the mindset that if he comes in weighing 280 or 290, a guy who weighs 240, right, 230 to 240, shouldn't be able to land on his chin or his temple and knock him down or badly hurt him. Right? So he's going to have to anticipate the punches. He's going to have to take risks. I'm just telling you, this fight could easily become a free-for-all. Let me also say, too, and it's an optics situation, right? A big man fighting a more elusive, smaller man. I believe that big man has to, if the smaller man decides to be on their back foot, the big man has to make it look like the smaller man is running. Right? You want to set up where Tyson Fury is so aggressive, he's so over the top, that Usyk has to back away. His choices are either get pinned on the ropes or move away fast, be on his back foot, be not in a position to throw power shots. Right? Let me just say, I believe a big guy with a punch, a front foot, and a hunter's mindset. George Foreman, right? Ali up on the ropes in the Rumble in the Jungle, right? Foreman's cutting the distance. Let's remember, too, the Ali who fights Foreman in the Rumble in the Jungle is younger than Usyk is right now, right? I believe had Anthony Joshua had a George Foreman mindset. In other words, I'm not going to wait on a boxer. I'm going to start the action. I'm not here to go the distance. I'm not trying to box a boxer. I'm not trying to win a decision. I'm trying to hurt this guy. Right? I believe if Anthony Joshua had that mindset, I believe he would have beaten Alexander Usyk. Joshua's a cautious fighter. Joshua sees himself as a boxer, as a technician. Right? Tyson Fury needs to see himself as a Martin Bakole or a George Foreman. Let me make another point, too. Bakole had an interesting fight against Jared Anderson. Now, Anderson, because Bakole's a hooker, and because Anderson has an excellent straight right hand, right? It's an excellent straight right hand, and because Anderson is an athlete. Understand, Anderson could have won that fight. Right? I picked Bakole in that fight, but Anderson could have won that fight had he stayed outside and just tried to throw straight right hands on Martin Bakole. In other words, you're the younger guy, you have the better legs. Right? You need to stay outside, use your legs. The other guy is a slugger. He's not defensively blessed. His construct is a good offense to hide the fact that he's not doing much defensively. Jared Anderson should have stayed outside, circled, and just thrown straight right hands. Right? Bakole was a different fighter in the Anderson fight than he was the Tony Yoka fight. That's the fight I want people to look at. Bakole, Tony Yoka. Right? The first 6 rounds of that fight is how Tyson Fury needs to fight Usyk. Right? Against Anderson, Bakole decides he needs to lure Anderson in the pocket. The secret to that fight is that Anderson thought too highly of himself, let's be blunt here, and was too young to know the stakes involved. Right? That fight was in Anderson's home country. Bakole had to cross the Atlantic for it. American boxing fans didn't know who Bakole was. So Bakole lets Anderson hit him to the body. That was a trap. Right? Bakole doesn't go free swinging on Anderson like he did Tony Yoka, the Olympic gold medalist. Right? Who I believe had Virgil Hunter in his corner. Right? And so, let me just say, if I'm Fury, I go free swinging on Usyk. Right? In fact, I mix it up the following way. The second Deontay Wilder fight. Right? Fury's measuring Wilder. Now understand, that fight had a dynamic this fight doesn't have. In terms of reach, Wilder had long reach like Fury. Wilder had ring coverage. In other words, you had to constantly measure Wilder. Because if Wilder was within range, he could hit you from almost outside the ring. Usyk doesn't have that ring coverage. Well, understand, Fury has to be either in a hot war where he's channeling Martin Bakole, he's throwing a lot of hooks, he's in the pocket, he's letting the smaller man know, hey player, you are smaller. This is a firefight. Right? You know, you hit me with a lot of straight lefts the first fight. I'm going to be mindful of that punch. Then I'm going to force you to play defense. Isn't that what Chisora did against him? Right? Against Usyk. Right? Chisora didn't have as much luck against Fury in any of the fights. But just understand, it's either a hot war where Fury's deep in the pocket doling out punishment, not leaving it in the hands of the judges, or it's a cold war where Fury's far outside and he makes reach an issue like he did in the Deontay Wilder rematch. In other words, power shots from distance, throws heavy shots from distance, but doesn't engage in a boxing match with Usyk. Now, if it's somewhere in between, in other words, Fury's not throwing his size around, being in the pocket, being George Foreman against Ali, right? He's not a big man imposing himself on a smaller man. If it's not a hot war or a surgical cold war where he's outside, he's sticking his hand out, you have to figure out what the ref allows here, right? The ref needs to tell Fury, you can't measure him. Right? You can't just stick a hand out. You have to pretend you're jabbing with that hand. Right? But it needs to be a long-range execution when it's a cold war, where the shorter Usyk is too far away to hurt Tyson Fury. Right? I think Fury goes for the stoppage. I think he's going to be channeling Derek Chisora and Martin Bakole. But understand Tony Bellew's prediction. He believes that if Fury tries to go on his front foot and tries to go find Usyk, according to Bellew, fellow Englishman, he won't be able to find Usyk. Usyk will win every round. Take a look at the article. It's on BoxingScene.com today, December 17th, 2024. Let me know your thoughts. Thanks for stopping by.